Hello, I'm Reverend Rick, and it is my honor to be with you today. We really hope that this video is a blessing to you. And if it is, please consider making a donation. People watch our videos locally when they cannot necessarily come to church throughout the United States and the world. So please join us and click the link below and make a donation. Thank you, and let this be a blessing to you.
You know, in all things give thanks, and I want to particularly give thanks to all of the people who served Human Spirit last week. It feels like 5 years ago, doesn't it? Last weekend. If you are a Human Spirit on the team, will you please stand? And if you're here this morning. Delivering the message at our sister church in Davis this morning. He was a big part of it. But you know, it was a fabulous retreat this year, and I'm so grateful not only to the people who put it on, but to all of the people who came, because that's what made it great. So thank you very much for doing that. The other person I want to give thanks to is Alfredo Rivera, who organized and facilitated our trip to discover Islam this last Friday. Thank you very much, sir. And now it's my honor. You know, I usually like to give a message on Sunday, but I knew that this was not the Sunday for me to give a message. So I have implored our beloved Reverend Rick to step in, and he graciously said yes. And I heard him at 9 o'clock. You're going to be really well served. Reverend Rick Harrell.
Now, if you were here with me the last time I was up here, you made me a promise, and you broke it. I said we were in Vegas, and therefore everything that happened here was supposed to stay here. And you told on me. Evident by the fact that she's sitting here this morning. She may never leave me here alone again. Oh, God, it is my honor to be here. The spiritual truth that I am dealing with today is this: that we believe the ultimate goal of all life is the complete liberation from all forms of discord. And this goal will be achieved by all. My paraphrase for Ernest's words are these: the ultimate goal of all life is the complete elimination, liberation, and freedom from all inner conflict. See, the interesting thing about inner conflict is that it has a life of its own. We make stuff up. We hear things that didn't happen. We experience stuff that really didn't happen. We see things that really weren't there, because it's all coming out of our own inner conflict. And if we have an emotional experience with that, you will remember it just that way. If it was painful, even though you find out later that it wasn't meant to be painful, you will still feel the pain. We're making it up. So this morning's message is called Wisdom is God's GPS. Yeah, GPS. Because here's the goal of, or the purpose when you have GPS. You know, you just have to have the destination. See, if you have the destination, you can take many different routes to get there. But you only need the destination. God has provided the destination for us, the freedom from all inner conflict. But we choose the route, and along the course, we make up a lot of stuff. Personal story. Before I moved here, I'm often asked to create presentations for many people in the company, you know, I work for the hospital, and I run the cardiac programs, and that's what I've done most of my life. And typically, it's kind of the program that is the largest, that makes the most money, because of course I have to have the biggest thing there. Not that I'm competitive. And so it's very common for me, and I just have to create 4 or 5 slides, and I recycle them all the time. They're the same thing, and depending on who it is. So I just created it, sent it off, and went on about my business and didn't think about it. So I go to a meeting that's entitled rehearsal. And I get here, and all the chairs around the room are in a complete circle, and the CEO is there, and the CEO is a remarkable woman. And she is preparing to present to the board. When my presentation slide comes up, she says, Rick, just present your slides. So I present my slides. Now I'm confused, because I'm the only person that she has asked to present their slides. So my head says, well, were they not good enough? Were they not clear? You know, why all of a sudden did I have to present and no one else did? Because I was making it up. So I sit there and I send a message to her, a text via BlackBerry, so that lets you know this was a few years ago. And the text to her is, you know, when are you giving the cardiac presentation to the board? And she replies back instantly, because hers was melded to her hand. It was never not in her hand. And she says, not you. So I read it and I went, well, that was harsh. You know, that was pretty abrupt. And immediately my mind gets going. Well, was it not good enough? Well, it should be good enough. Well, why in the world did, you know, would she not want me to present my own information? Next time she can make up her own slide. You know? See, I get to the point where I'm having a conversation with her in my head all by myself. Now, I'm telling myself, oh, it's only me, right? All of you are exempt from that. You don't have that inner conflict ever going on. Well, I do. And look, by the way, I tell you stuff from up here that I have never told anyone else. So I am living my life out loud in front of you. So I'm sitting there, I'm going to tell her, I can't wait. The finger gets to going. The shoulder's about ready to move. All of Detroit is just running up my back, you know. And as cultured as I try to portray myself, every now and then Detroit comes out. And let me just tell you this, it ain't ever pretty. So, harsh, okay? And I am sitting there and I am worked up, I am hurt, and then I'm mad, just back and forth. And somehow or another, the GPS of life, God, with its guidance, orientation, and direction, says, why don't you read that text again? So I pull out my BlackBerry and I look. Remember, I said, when are you giving the cardiac presentation? And I read, not you. It said, no, you. I saw something that wasn't even there. True story. Telling the truth. I saw something that wasn't even there. Now, here is the risk. What if I had responded to her like she said, not you? In other words, shoulders going, finger, you know, the whole 9 yards. What if I had responded to it? And here's the amazing thing. This woman was wonderful to me. I had just met her then, but she was wonderful to me. See, she made a place for me. She created opportunity for me that I could never have imagined. I have no idea why she did it. But the interesting thing is that's God working in us. See, not only you being guided and oriented and directed, you know, the path is kind of made. The path is in front of us. And not everything is hard. We just remember the stuff we make up. So here I go, and I'm presenting to the board. Wonderful opportunity for me. This is a publicly elected board. So there are dignitaries in the community. And so here is this whole experience that I had read. Totally wrong. You cannot tell me I can't tell the difference between not and no. problem is I was reading it with my own insecurity. And so here's the thing about inner conflict. I'm going to give you a story about inner conflict, which is the most extreme example from who we are. But remember, we all have the same destination. And it's the freedom and the liberation. Even for people we don't like. They get to the same place too. Chris Simpson, I called him an ex-Marine this morning, and a Marine left the room and told me you were never an ex-Marine. So I will say he was a Marine. He is 35 years old. He is 6 feet tall. He is 245 pounds. He is an imposing, intimidating presence. Tim has a wife. They have 5 children. He grows up in Virginia, pretty much an element of poverty, doesn't know his father, didn't have a good relationship with his stepfather, and the only father he knows was his grandfather, and his grandfather dies when he's 11. Chris describes himself as enraged. Now, what really set him off, he was already angry, but what really set him off is their first child died a few hours after it was born. And Chris is the kind of person that blames everyone else for every unpleasant experience that he has. But Chris is on path and on the same route that we are taking. See, it's easier for us to believe the people we like and all of us here that we all have the same destination, but everyone does. And Chris starts learning to listen to this experience. But my best description of Chris is this. Chris has 42 tattoos. He has a story about all of them. Every single one of them is a Nazi symbol of some sort. And across his knuckles is tattooed pure rage. This is a description he makes of himself. Chris is angry and enraged. And there is nothing about his life that gives any indication that he is on the same road or going toward the same destiny as everyone in this room. But Chris has an awakening experience at Walmart. Now, I love sacred stories because, first of all, they're familiar. The second thing is they teach a timely lesson. Moses tells Pharaoh, "Let my people go," and the people leave. And it represents the fact that often we just change our direction, we're on a new route, and we're going toward a promise. By the way, we're always going toward this promise of the release of inner conflict. But they're going toward this land of promise. But once they get out there and it becomes tough, they start to complain, and many of them want to turn around. So Moses says to them, "Look here, there are 2 mountains. One mountain leads to life. The other mountain leads to self-destruction. Choose the mountain of life." Now, the reason I like the illustration of mountain is it lets you know that both are work. The path to life or the path to self-destruction. Many would depict and say, if you just don't try, you're just kind of self-destructive. But Chris is very, very clear. He worked very hard at being self-destructive. But he's a complex individual, and he has another side. So Chris spends every available dime of their money that he has available after their bills are paid to care for other people. It can just only his people in his own racial group. So we continue on, and so the story goes that Chris is in Walmart, and his son says to him, "We cannot go down that aisle. There is a blank in the aisle." And Chris realizes, I do not want my children to be like me. not act like me. I don't want them to be like me. See, this is one of those times where you have awakening experience where you've been on this route and the route says, make the next legal U-turn. Because just like in life, just like driving in my car, I often don't trust GPS. I don't. One of the major reasons is as soon as I put in the destination, I can't see the route. I can only see one turn at a time. So I have this argument with this woman in my car who tells me which way to go, and I think I know more than she does. And I used to be right, but it's gotten to the point where I'm not right. Now, you know, when you set up your GPS, you decide, do you want the scenic route? Do you want the most direct route? Do you want highway, no highway? You choose, but the destination is always the same. Our destination are all the same. The freedom from this inner conflict. So Chris has this first experience with his son. The next experience he has is he goes into a liquor store. I can say that here, right? He goes into a liquor store, and when he gets in the liquor store, the owner of the liquor store says to him, you know, I saw you demonstrating across the street. It was his version of a pride march because Chris had actually left Virginia to go to Michigan because a lot of Michigan is rather rural. And there's a lot of militia there. We don't talk about it, but you know, it's like cousins you don't talk about, but it's there. And he joins Battalion 14, which is a supremacist group. Okay? So that's why he goes there. So 9 of them are on a march, and there are 100 people behind them, probably us, screaming at them that they're wrong. It's just the way it is. So this man, the owner of the liquor store, says, you know, I want you to meet a friend of mine, and he's a Chaldean, he's a Christian who grew up in Iraq. And he can tell you what it's like to be a disadvantaged person by not being a part of the major community. So this man has a conversation with Chris, and he also tells Chris, you should watch this movie. And the movie is called Courageous. Chris walks home, and as he walks home, there's a marquee in front of the church advertising movie night for the movie Courageous. Now, the movie Courageous is about 4 police officers. 4 police officers of diverse races, all who have had a difficult relationship with their fathers. They are successful police officers, but they consider themselves failing as being a father. And immediately, Chris identifies with this story. Chris wants to be a police officer. He understands what it is not to have a father, and he just had this experience in Walmart where he realizes he doesn't want his kids to be like him. And Chris decides right then and there, I can no longer be enraged. And he lets it go. Now, most of us would like to punish him first. But it doesn't always like that. He changes. He notices the signs on the road. Okay? You cannot see the entire route. The destination is the same, but we choose the route. What route have you chosen? The most scenic? The shortest? The one with highways? Or the one all with side streets? You get to choose. You get to choose this path to the release of inner conflict. Now, the most significant thing that Chris did, you can see on the graphic up here. And that is, Chris decides to have all 42 tattoos removed. Now, this is not against tattoos. Chris no longer identifies with that person. And we just have to love him just for that. Chris graduates from college, and Chris says his prayer in life is that everyone that he has offended will forgive him. Now, why am I using this example? I am using this example because it's probably as far away from any of us as possible. And if Chris can get the message, we should get the message. God is leading us toward a place of destination. We get to choose the route, but we have to get rid of the inner conflict. It happens one decision at a time, one step at a time. So the interesting thing about life and about speaking is someone once told me that everyone in the room that is listening to you has one thought. So I can read your mind. And what you are saying is, well, so what? The question is how, right? How do you get here? And believe me, Sam, you already know the key. The key is this: it's the words to a song. Don't worry about it. I release, I let go. I let spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. There's no more struggle, no more strife. By faith, I see the light. I am free in the spirit. I'm only here for God. I know how to end. Enough light for the next step, but that's all you need, because I can promise you this: after you make the first step, the light will shine for the next step. So it is. Let us pray. Knowing only one power and one presence, only one loving presence. For this I am ever so thankful. I am so thankful for the rich spirit of this congregation. I'm so thankful because I'm so blessed by them. And I'm so thankful. So I speak my word knowing that everything that is needed in your life will be so. And I pray you see the light on your path. The path to release, freedom, and elimination.